Hello, podcast friends and families. Welcome to a new episode of Crack the Wellness Code podcast on right posture for better health and well-being. Our guest today is Esther Gokhale, who is a role model and creator of the Gokhale Method, a breakthrough in back pain relief. In this episode, Esther will take us through ways of reducing the risk of falling, how to avoid shrinking with age, and how to retain a more upright posture. Over to you, Esther.
I'm here to talk about how to have posture that improves your health and well-being. There are some assumptions that people make about aging, and I'd like to challenge them one by one. So these are the three assumptions that I'm going to address. And one is we assume that as we age, we're going to be losing our balance, we'll be falling, we'll lose our upright posture, we'll round, and we'll also lose height. People assume that there's going to be some shrinking with old age. So I'm going to challenge each of these, and let's begin with talking about loss of balance. So now towards balance, there is a very important group of muscles, which are the buttock muscles. And those buttock muscles are really created to be behind us, that the angle, that the bottom would make an angle with the back. And somewhere along the way in modern industrial society, it has become common and even fashionable to tuck the pelvis. And what that does is it puts the buttocks in a position of disadvantage, and they can't work, and they really are the most important balance muscles in the body. So we have all seen people as they age with diminished glute tone or buttock tone, and then you see them with canes and walkers and such. So this business of the behind being behind starts like we have it when we are first come on the planet. When we're real little kids, we all have what in the Gokhale method we call a J spine. The behind's behind. There's a strong angle where the bottom meets the back, and then up above, it's pretty straight up and down. So you see like this, and then the behind's behind. So all the spine stacks on top of the leg bone, stacks on top of the heel. And this is how we begin. And this is also how people are in ancient times. J-spine, the behind, strong glutes, and that's what gives us balance, no matter how old we are. And if you look at old anatomy books, you realize that we used to understand that this was the normal shape for the human spine. This is where the buttocks would be. You see that they're angled. There's a strong angle here, which makes a lot of sense. And modern anatomy books show this S-shaped spine, which really doesn't make sense. It's not a good fit for the cylindrical discs. The edges of the bones are compressed against each other, causing osteoarthritis and stenosis and what have you. And it is not healthy. So let's look at loss of upright posture, because that's also an assumption we make, that we're necessarily going to round as we get older. And sure enough, if we look around us, we see that older people do tend to round in the upper body. And again, the origin of the problem is this tucked pelvis. Without the behind being behind, without the base of the structure having a healthy position, the upper body tends to curve forward. And then that's progressive with age. And so this is very unfortunate that it's common, but it doesn't have to be. If you look at other cultures who use their bodies more wisely in a more primal, ancestral way, you see that they remain upright into old age.
So what, according to you, is the possible cause for this stooped posture, and how do we fix them?
Now, one of the things I blame for this rounded, stooped posture that progresses, that becomes worse with age, is the way we train our babies. Like, our babies have this kind of round, give them car seats that shape them to be like C-shaped instead of lengthening and straightening out their spine. And because we start them out like this, I believe is the reason that when kids sit in school, this is the way they sit. And by this age, we can see something's not right. But the way we try to address it is by yelling at them to sit up straight, stand up straight, pull the shoulders back. And that is not the right solution. It doesn't work. It works only momentarily. And then the kids go back to relaxing and slumping. And then that goes into old age, which is a real pity because now there are also degeneration of the discs and, the ligaments get loose and there's all kinds of pathology that starts building. Now, the way we try to fix slumped posture is by sitting up straight, which I used to do a lot from when I was in my 20s. And I had a severe problem. I came to this work the hard way. And this is a very large L5-S1 disc herniation pressing against my spinal cord, causing a huge amount of pain and problems down my left leg. What we do is we use technology. We use ancient wisdom and modern technology to make the changes happen rapidly and deeply, so for efficiency and effectiveness. So people make these changes and it's really important. But sometimes people have the idea like, oh, I need to be slender to have good posture and not have back pain and so on. It doesn't matter what your girth and what your shape and height and so on is. The main thing is to have this J shape, to have this basic architecture that we were all born with. Bending, by the way, is a very important part of how people lose their structure and posture. We help people make very profound changes. I think that's an important thing to emphasize and understand, that all these problems that we have from modern cultural influences can be changed. So here we have it.
Tell us more about loss of height and the importance of evolving our posture.
So here's another thing, a loss of height. This is another thing we make an assumption of. Architecture, we assume, in sitting, standing, bending, etc., has a big impact on whether we're going to shrink. Any problems at all, because by that time I knew how to use my body. And in fact, I haven't had any back pain or twinge or ache in the last 30 years or more. So, and the one thing I had when I had my second and third children, by this time I knew what to do. So having this J spine, allows you to be upright, not stooped, have good balance, and be very functional. High energy because the blood can flow well, and the muscles are well nourished, and so on. There's also this kind of sense of self and natural dignity and natural beauty that comes with having healthy architecture, healthy ways of moving. You see, find back again. And there's no reason why we can't reabsorb these wise ways of using our body into a more modern context. We're actually, sitting at people sometimes think, oh, I sit at a computer. No wonder I have back pain. No wonder I have problematic posture, but it doesn't have to be so. It's actually very definitely possible to change it up, to evolve your posture, to make very profound changes.
Any last takeaways, like to summarize? We are about to end our time.
So I would say that as human beings, we have remarkable structure. And all of us want to realize that, when something goes wrong, not to immediately think that, oh, it's normal to have back pain, or I wore out my knees or whatever, that to be looking more deeply, because usually there's a postural, structural contribution that you have control over, and you can improve your wellness by having that approach, by looking in an informed way and learning about your natural structure and being very pleasantly surprised, in our experience. That's how our students reported, by how much disability and aches and pains they can get rid of, and how much better their lives become, because now there's more energy, there's better appearance, there's more stamina, all kinds of bonuses that we get from having good structure.
That wraps up today's edition of Crack the Wellness Code podcast. If you want to know more about this episode and many such archive treasures, then make sure you download our CWC Khushi app, available both in App and Play Store. Thank you for listening.